This is my second Heron conversion project. The first one was a timber boat, which essentially stayed as a Heron sailing dinghy. It just added a cuddy cabin to it and stripped the interior so you could sit in the bottom of the boat and sleep in the bottom of the boat. Here's some photos of that boat now. This being a Mark I Heron in fiberglass, it used to have a timber deck. Now the boat was always used for racing and consequently was neglected in its later life. It was left outside, the timber deck had rotted, and that is when I purchased the boat. And you can see by these following photos the stripping of the deck and the start of the cabin build. The reason for doing another one of these projects is to give me another second dinghy that I can take down to Sydney Harbour or Pittwater. It is much easier to launch. Being set up on a secondary beach dolly, as you can see sitting on the main trailer, the boat doesn't really need a boat ramp to be launched, which means you can go to a busy ramp, unload the boat on the dolly, and then launch the boat beside the boat ramp where there may be a sandy beach, giving you the option of getting away from the main crowd. This time round I'm changing the rig altogether. The centreboard will stay the same, the rudder stays the same, but the boat will be rigged as a cat ketch, which means that it will have a freestanding mast which sits in this mast tube, which is a fiberglass PVC pipe. She will just have a mainsail. I'm not sure yet whether the mast will be furling or set up with a wishbone boom, which will carry mainsail only, which will come back to around this area and be sheeted off the end of the centreboard case. She will then be fitted with a mizzen, which will be stepped right against the transom, and there will be a boomkin poking out the stern, which will sheet that sail. Hopefully this gives the boat the balance required. As we no longer have side decks to sit on or to hike out, I've actually built up the gunnel with 3 thicknesses of 20mm timber. That'll allow me to sit reasonably comfortably in the cockpit. I still have to build new seats in the stern and in the forward section here. I'll also build in little slats that can be removed so as I can sleep inside the boat over the top of the centreboard, which takes it around about this level. With the cuddy cabin, when I'm sailing, all my gear will be stored in there. It'll also allow you protection on your gear. You can also stop the boat. The idea of the rig is that you'll be able to stop the boat, heave it to with the mizzen sheeted on and the mainsail luffing. When I did strip the boat, I left this piece which runs all the way to the bow and the stern. That allowed me something to work on to build these timbers up on. I also cut an angled fillet piece, which you can see here, which then gave me an angle to set the sides of the cabin, which was screwed and glued. I then through bolted it all the way through the gunnel, and then the forward deck area, I left the front beam. There was about 3 frames that came across. The forward one, which is where I set the cabin, the forward end of the cabin, is screwed and glued it to that. That gave me a point to work off to then put the sides onto. A lot of it's guesswork and look at it as you go, just to get the lines right. In my mind, it doesn't look too bad. This timber here, this has all had 2 coats of polyurethane varnish just to seal it for now. The rest of the boat, all these timbers around the cockpit where are hard use areas, are going to be soaked in Everdur before I varnish it. This is some little infill sections I had to do where the side deck used to come into that original piece on the transom. So I'll seal, the next steps are to seal all that up totally, and then I'll look at building the seats, redoing the top of the centerboard, and looking at some mast positioning and bases for the mizzen. All this is going to take me a while, as it's taken me probably 6 or 8 months just doing this in the limited spare time that I do have when I'm not, as I say, sailing the day sailor. So it may be a little while before I get to the next video of the boat, but this shows you where I'm at this stage.